Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the ACFE Central Region presentation on the use of cryptocurrencies in pyramid and or Ponzi schemes. Mirror Trading International MTI as a case study. We welcome our ACFE members and non-members, and we hope that you will take something away from this presentation this afternoon. So in essence, there are two parts to it. First is our cryptocurrencies, and then the latter part, the pyramid and Ponzi schemes. So let's just look at some definitions and some interesting facts about cryptocurrencies before we launch into the full presentation. Now, just to refresh your memories, a pyramid scheme is a fraudulent system of making money based on recruiting ever-increasing number of investors. The initial promoters recruit investors, which on their part must then recruit some more and new investors. There is normally a promise of a big return, and sometimes there are some products or services involved in order to give it a veneer of legitimacy. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investing scam which generates returns for earlier investors with money taken from later investors. So it's very similar to a pyramid scheme in that both are based on using new investors' funds to pay older investor funds. And you need to keep on drawing new investors and new people into the scheme to make it sustainable. We all know that mathematically it is impossible to keep on adding enough numbers to pay the ever-growing people within the scheme/scam. All right, so let's have some fun facts about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin so we can show that we do have a sense of humor. Fun fact number one, Bitcoin is the best known cryptocurrency in the world, and it was created in 2009. Now here's a shocking fact. Bitcoin is not the first cryptocurrency. In fact, the award goes to DigiCash, who was founded years before Bitcoin came into existence. It was created by David Chaum in 1989 and is also based on cryptographic protocols, but wasn't just popular. Bitcoin is built on a distributed or peer-to-peer network. To carry out a transaction with Bitcoin, you have to generate two keys, which are referred to as the public and private keys. Both keys are large integer and are usually represented in figures and letters. And without them, no transaction can be carried out. Without the private key, the funds are lost forever and no one can use them again. Therefore, if you lose your Bitcoin private key, you lose your Bitcoins. So hang on tight to that private key of yours. So there are a lot of cryptocurrencies around, ladies and gentlemen, but some of the more popular or famous ones are obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, EOS, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Tether. Now the question always is asked, who created Bitcoin? In 2009, a person or a group of people known as Satoshi Nakamoto introduced Bitcoin to the world. He or they vanished off the internet in the late 2010. He or the group has never been heard from since. Just as his identity is shrouded in mystery, nobody really knows if he even is alive or dead. The only communication people had with him or them was through emails and forums. Further delving into the subject matter of who the founder actually was leads us to even more mysteries, as the name is Japanese in origin. The Japanese name roughly translates into Satoshi, which says clear thinking, quick-witted, and wise. Naka means inside or relationship. Moto, the foundation. Now, some conspiracy theorists even believe that Bitcoin was created by 4 big tech giants and that the name was derived from the first 2 letters of the name of the first company and the first 4 letters of the remaining 3 companies. They include Samsung, which gives us the S and the A, Toshiba, which gives us the T-O-S-H-I, Nakamichi, which gives us the Naka, and then Motorola, which gives us the Moto. His or their Bitcoin wallet holds around 980,000 Bitcoins, which is worth a whopping $54 billion today, which makes him or them one of the richest people on the planet. Now, just as a reference point, One Bitcoin is worth approximately 54,800 US dollars, or in rand terms, 825,000 rands for one Bitcoin. Now, the Satoshi is the smallest unit of a Bitcoin, and you need 100 million Satoshis to have one full Bitcoin. So that's one with 8 zeros after that. Now, there's only a limited number of Bitcoin that will be in circulation after all the Bitcoin have been mined. That number is set at 21 million Bitcoins. At the moment, there's approximately 7 million Bitcoins that have already been mined and in some form of circulation or storage. So that equates to roughly 80% of all Bitcoin have been mined. But don't worry, the last Bitcoin will only be mined around 2040. This is because miners are rewarded for the Bitcoin that they mine. And what miners get paid is 2.5 Bitcoin for every block that they add to the blockchain. Now, this amount halved in 2020, and miners now only get 6.25 Bitcoins for every block that they add to the blockchain. Now, people say Bitcoin is untraceable. It is, and it is not. Why do I say that? Because when you create the wallet, you do not have to give your full information. It is not regulated. So if you go to your bank, you have to FICA, and that means you have to give proof of your identity, proof of residence, and so forth. But anybody can open a cryptocurrency wallet and limit the information that they use. I can use an email address, I can use my pet's name as reference, and it makes it very difficult to trace. But Bitcoin works on blockchain, and blockchain is a permanent ledger which is very transparent. If you have somebody Bitcoin address, you can see how many Bitcoins they hold and what transactions they have done. If users want to hide their identity from public, they can then obviously mask their IP address using a VPN or a service like BitMixer. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, you can make it difficult to trace Bitcoin, but it's not always impossible. Now, Bitcoin, like any form of money or currency, can be lost. All of us have lost change or notes sometimes. The same with Bitcoin. I've said earlier that if you lose your private key, you'll lose your Bitcoin, and that's very true. James Howell, an IT guy, lost 7,500 Bitcoins, which is approximately 411 million US dollars today, in November 2013. He was cleaning his desk and he threw away the hard drive containing the private keys of the Bitcoins that he has mined since 2010. So the value of Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of 2010 was worth 0.0015 US cents. And at the end of that year, it was worth 31 US cents. It meant that Bitcoin grew with a whopping 20,566% in value. At the end of 2011, a Bitcoin was worth $6.18, which was an increase in value of approximately 1,893%. At the end of 2012, it was worth $13.44. That was 170% growth on the previous year. Then in 2013, it was worth $751 at the end of the year, which was a 5,487% growth. Then 2015, it closed at the value of 435 US dollars. That was a 52% growth on the previous year's closing value. 2016, it was 952 US dollars, which was 118% growth in value from year on year measured. And then at the close of 2017, its value was $2,586, which was 171% growth year on year, ladies and gentlemen. As I stated earlier, Bitcoin now is trading at $54,800, which shows that it keeps on growing in value. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, You'll say, but this is a good asset. If you look at the growth, the lowest growth we've had was 52%. But if you have a look, ladies and gentlemen, in the table, you see that the year of 2014 is missing. That was the year that Bitcoin's price plummeted by a whopping 62%. Why? Because Mt. Gox was hacked in 2014. And after that, the price dropped from $751 to $285. Mt. Gox Bitcoin Exchange was based in Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan, and was launched in 2010. And at one point was handling about 3/4 of all Bitcoin transactions. In February 2014, it filed for bankruptcy after losing 850,000 Bitcoins in a hack, which would be worth today nearly $46.5 billion. The fear that blockchain could be compromised engulfed investors, obviously. But it was not the blockchain that was compromised at Mt. Gox. It was actually the platform and its fatal flaws that was exploited by hackers. So, in closing, what was the first ever recorded Bitcoin transaction that we are aware of? Well, if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, that Bitcoin was worth 0.0015 US cents in 2010. It was literally worthless. But on the 22nd of May 2010, somebody purchased something with Bitcoins. It was a big deal because no retailer was accepting Bitcoins at that time for goods and services. Therefore, the first ever recorded Bitcoin transaction was the purchase of 2 Papa John pizzas by Laszlo Hanzek for 10,000 Bitcoins on the 22nd of May 2010. At the time, the worth of 10,000 Bitcoin was approximately $41 US. A situation that will most likely be, had I known case today, owing to the current value of 1 Bitcoin. Today, that 10,000 Bitcoin is worth around $548 million US. Let me repeat that. $548 million US. Today, this transaction is tagged as the most expensive food order in history. The date of this transaction, this 22nd of May, is now termed Bitcoin Pizza Day and is celebrated by cryptocurrency enthusiasts around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, next is a short video. It's a spoof done by Saturday Night Live on Bitcoin, and it shows some of the confusion and technical issues around Bitcoin. Enjoy.
If you're like me, I'm sure by now you've heard about Bitcoin. It's been in the news a lot lately, and there's still quite a few people who don't understand what it is. Well, luckily, I saw this commercial last night that explains what Bitcoin is and how it works. Take a look.
Gin.
Oh.
I love our little get-togethers.
Well, you know what I don't love?
What?
Not knowing where to put my money for retirement.
There are just too many options.
401ks, IRAs, savings?
It's so confusing.
Well, you know where I put my money?
Where?
Bitcoin.
What's Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital cryptocurrency that works without a central bank.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it's so simple to use. Transactions take place through the use of cryptography and are verified by network nodes and recorded in an immutable public distributed ledger called a blockchain. What could be simpler than that?
Nothing. It sounds great.
Right. So is it like investing in stocks?
Kind of, but not at all.
Well, I'm on board.
Really? Because I have so many more questions.
Not me.
Where can I get one of these Bitcoins? Can I buy one at my local bank?
Of course not. What a dumb question.
Thought it was valid.
No, it was dumb.
Bitcoins aren't like regular currency. They're mined.
In a physical mine, like gold?
That's ridiculous. Bitcoins are mined on computers using the SHA-256 hashing algorithm, creating 12.5 Bitcoins per block.
Uh-huh.
That is until mid-2020.
Uh-huh.
And then afterwards, 6.25 Bitcoins per block for 4 years until the next halving.
Wait, are we still talking about money?
Cryptocurrency.
This sounds so simple.
Shut up, Margaret. There's no way you understood all of that.
Okay.
So how much do one of these Bitcoins cost?
$17,000.
$17,000? That's insane.
Sounds like a bargain.
Ugh. And how do you keep track of these things' values?
Just check the internet. So far today, its value has gone up $1,000. Oh, and now it's down $800. And now it's up $500.
Sounds like you can't lose.
You absolutely can, Margaret.
How do I buy Bitcoins?
It's easy. Just go online and give them your credit card number.
Give who your credit card number?
Bitcoin. And then let the internet do what it does.
What does it do exactly?
It Bitcoins.
Here's my credit card.
No! So who started Bitcoin?
We think it was Satoshi Nakamoto.
Who is that?
No one really knows.
He sounds cute.
Margaret, I swear to God.
And Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency I trust with my kids' college fund.
That's smart investing.
That's bat crazy.
Oh, now it's down to $3. Easy come, easy go.
This message brought to you by the stock market. Gamble with your retirement the old-fashioned way.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed that short video, and it just showed how confusing Bitcoin and blockchain can be. And part of that confusion and the complexity of it was used, but we'll come back to that a bit later. Now, just some background to MTI, the registered company. It was registered on the 30th of April 2019. The company's name initially was K2019205570 and was registered in South Africa. On the 2nd of May 2019, the name was changed to Mirror Trading International Pty Limited. It had two directors, CJ Steinberg and FC Rademan. Now, FC Rademan resigned on the 16th of May 2020. There were three addresses that was linked to MTI. 43 Plain Street, Unit 1, Stellenbosch, which was the registered address. 341 Beyers Nudia, Northcliffe, Randburg. And 196 Main Road, Strand, Cape Town. The board of directors were Johan Steinberg, which was a 50% shareholder, Clinton Marks, which was a 50% shareholder, Charles Ward, which was a non-exec director, and Monica Coetzee, which was also a non-exec director. The managed team, as presented to people out there in July 2020, was as follows: Johan Steinberg, Head of Technical and Research and Development Department; Clinton Marks, Head of Referral Programs and Members; Charles Ward, Head of Strategic Implementation and later COO. He took that position on the 28th of September 2020. Monica Coetzee, Head of Corporate Services; Romano Samuels, Head of Member Support; Sherry Marks, Head of Communication and Marketing; Vincent Ward, Head of International Expansion; and Leonard Gray, Head of the Legal Department. The former CEO was Asher Bell. He took that position on the 26th of May 2020 and vacated that position on the 4th of July 2020. The name of Tom Fraser also pops up, and he was in the role of consultant and advisor to management. So what did MTI offer people out there? It sold it as an opportunity not to be missed. You know, ladies and gentlemen, you need to think back. About a year ago, COVID struck and became a reality in South Africa. We were tracking it from China towards the end of 2019, and then slowly saw it spread across the world. And then in February, March, we had our first cases in South Africa. At the end of March, we went into a hard lockdown, a level 5. And this time last year, we were in the middle of that hard lockdown, ladies and gentlemen. So therefore, people were sitting at home. People lost their jobs. People got no salaries because no work, no pay. And they were on the internet looking for opportunities. So although MTI was in business from approximately April 2019, it only really took off in April, May, June 2020, when people sat at home and they were advertising and they were looking for passive income or other ways of creating an income. And this is what MTI sold: a promise of passive income via cryptocurrency trading. And one of the success ingredients that MTI used was to publish their daily trading results. And barring one day, they always had wins, i.e. positive trades, i.e. returns. They made the investment relatively easy to access. You had to invest as little as $100 in order to join. Then there was a second opportunity. If you referred other people, they could join under you and you could share in their profits, and you would also get a referral amount to you. So this is where the pyramid scheme side of it came in. So therefore the referral scheme was structured in such a way to entice members to recruit more members. So the daily trading reports were provided on the next day. The binary bonuses, that with people underneath you, were paid out to members on a weekly basis. Members were informed that they could access their funds at any time and withdraw it at any time. No profit returns, not guaranteed, but the expectation was always created because they always had successful trades every day. When I say successful, I mean that the overall day trades were always showing a profit. There were weekly, bi-weekly and monthly feedback sessions by group leaders, and management. So members felt engaged and had access to the leadership of MTA. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a very effective tool, because if they had something to hide, they would not speak to us. MTI consistently outperformed the market during the COVID time, when markets were depressed, and we had very limited returns, and most exchanges were in the red. And yet MTI could on a daily basis show people that it was making an overall profit on all trades. Obviously, when you do so well, in inverted commas, you attract attention, and when people started asking questions, MTI management team made this out that people and the formal financial sector were just being jealous of their success and growth. Another important point to note, ladies and gentlemen, is that MTI had not any process of know your client in place. So anybody could create an account and join MTI without actually knowing who that person is and having disclosure. I referred earlier to when you go to a bank or you want to take out a financial product, you want to do a transaction, then you have to go through a FICA process. They didn't have something like this in place. Now, on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, you will see a snapshot of the 21st of August 2020 of the trade results for the day. And this showed the members what the overall success was for the day. So therefore, on a daily basis, like I alluded earlier, members could see how successful the organization was, and they were sharing in the success. So 40% of the day's success trading went to the members. 20% were the binary, those were the downlines. Then the P1 and P2, those are the upper echelons within the organization. The founding members and organizations shared there. Then the traders, this is the bot now, got 25%, and MTI leadership overall got a 10%. And that, ladies and gentlemen, then added up to the 100%. So that's how that day's total of 0.5814% of overall success in value was shared. The overall daily income was approximately 1.1% on average that they claimed to the members. The highest was 2.65% and the lowest was approximately 0.2%. So ladies and gentlemen, those are impressive returns. Also, the marketing material that they put out to market was done very professionally. I share one of MTI's own marketing videos that they've made. Enjoy.
Murray Trading International is a fast-growing opportunity to help you to grow your Bitcoin and make it work for you. instead of leaving it in your wallet where it will do nothing. When you register with Mirror Trading International, you can join with a minimum of $100 worth of Bitcoin, which will go into a trading pool. From there it is traded on your behalf, so no trading knowledge is necessary at all. Each day, from Monday to Friday, trades are opened and closed, and you will receive a trading statement the following day, detailing the trades and the profit made. Our historic results show an impressive average daily profit of 0.5%. And however impressive this may be, this is no guarantee of future results. Once your Bitcoin is received in your MTI account, your Bitcoin forms part of the total trading pool. Then, you can sit back, relax, and watch your Bitcoin grow daily. MTI offers an optional referral program where the company rewards members for marketing the opportunity. Should you wish to choose to refer anyone to MTI, you will receive a 10% referral bonus. Now, if you'd like to build a team, you can earn additional bonuses from the company based on the traditional binary system. You will need to refer at least 2 people, one on the left and one on the right, and to qualify for the weekly binary bonus, you will need to have a minimum of $200 worth of Bitcoin in your own trading pool account. As soon as these criteria are in place, you will start to earn binary bonuses every single Saturday. Binary bonuses are paid on the volume invested in your weaker leg. It doesn't rely on the number of people, but rather on how much Bitcoin each member has in their trading pool. Now imagine as your team grows and the amount of Bitcoin in each leg increases, so too will your weekly binary bonus increase. Please remember that Mirror Trading International is a registered company, and like any business, if there are no profits, there can be no bonuses for that week. The trading profits are divided amongst the members, company, trader, and the binary and leadership bonuses every week. MTI is a real opportunity, and it is already starting to change lives. Every day we hear how people are now able to pay all their monthly expenses on time, pay school fees, make purchases they have only dreamed of before, booking holidays, etc. Withdrawal requests are processed within 48 hours, so long as they are not over the weekend. However, withdrawals are done over a weekend and they will take a little bit longer. You too can start the benefit from this marvelous opportunity. Remember, your trading pool balance will fluctuate with the changing Bitcoin price, but your Bitcoin will be growing. And when the price of Bitcoin rises, you will be perfectly placed to take full advantage of it. Videos on all the aspects of the business are available on how to register your MTI account, how to fund your MTI account, team structuring, withdrawals, and so much more.
So if we have a look at that marketing video, ladies and gentlemen, there's certain things that stand out. One, it's very polished and professional, and it fits in very well with any social media campaign. So it feels professional, it looks professional, it brings across the message very clearly. Also, MTI used the traditional media platforms as well, like newspapers and radio advertisements, and you always have this perception, if it's on TV or in print media, it must be legitimate, ladies and gentlemen. They were also invited guest speakers on radio shows and business talk shows. You had members giving their personal testimonials. And also, they claimed that they did a live trade demo to the FSCA, where they could see how they were doing this. So all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have an organization that has a very professional look and feel to it, in the interaction with their members, and also to potential new members. So this is one of the key success ingredients that made MTI grow phenomenally as well, given that it fell together with COVID, where people were desperately looking to have income or additional income created. So MTI didn't require you, ladies and gentlemen, to actively go out there and recruit new members. But as you've seen in the video, they said that if you have 2 tiers, a left and a right, you could then earn additional bonuses and income. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, when people stand around the braai or they sit at a social event and they talk, inevitably you talk about what you're doing, and you can imagine people sitting around a braai or social event saying, you know, I've invested in MTI, they having daily positive trades, I get my payouts on a weekly basis, they're so successful that people want to be part of success. So you inadvertently recruited your family members, your friends, and people you knew around you by just sharing the success story of MTI. Also, if you looked at MTI and the leadership, they were sharing their lives on social media, ladies and gentlemen, big houses, breakaways on weekends, living the life and showing how you can attain your dream house or car by investing in MTI. Also, MTI used a quasi-legal opinion to confirm their legitimacy. They would not name the person, but say, I have a good friend, or he was a lawyer, or he's one of the best lawyers, and his opinion, I'm sitting it with in my hands. If you sit with a document that was drafted and presented by a legal expert, then it must be true, it must be legitimate. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, all of this led to the phenomenal growth of the MTI. But MTI had big visions. So they also grew offshore. So it was not just based locally in South Africa, but over time they had members joining from across the world. And they were targeting the person next door. So me and you, the regular person, could be part of this fantastical opportunity. Wow, how great is that, ladies and gentlemen? And therefore, the message to everybody out there in the market was, everybody is investing. Look at their phenomenal growth. You should too become part and act now in order to reap the benefits. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is some of the information that you see on the screen now. They claim to have had over 260,000 members across the globe in 202 countries, and you'll see there that the launch date is confirmed in April 2019. And they're very proud. They say that they have a 99% retention rate of its investors and members. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is phenomenal. Who doesn't want to be part of such a success story? So now we're going to touch again on if MTI is legal. And this is a short video clip that was produced and made available on the internet by MTI to address the question, is MTI legal? Enjoy.
Hi everyone, Sherry here. I wanted to do a little video regarding the legality of Mirror Trading International. I get a lot of questions from people coming to me asking me about FSB registration. They're asking me about DSA association. They're asking me about regulations regarding Bitcoin. And obviously I get that question about, is Mirror Trading International a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme all the time. So I wanted to quickly share with you guys something that I've taken the initiative to get done. I've got a friend who is one of the greatest legal minds in South Africa. He studied law at UKZN in Natal with me, one of the top students there, and he's currently practicing in Port Elizabeth. And I asked him to write me an opinion on network marketing in South Africa and on FSB regulations. And I think what he has come up with is absolutely amazing, and it gives me such pleasure to share this with you guys, because I think for far too long network marketing has been shaved as one of these pyramid schemes, doesn't matter what it looks like. Everybody seems to think that anything that has a recruiting function or a referral function is a pyramid scheme. It's not. Guys, when you're asking questions like that and you don't actually know what you're talking about, you look a little silly, I must be honest. So my suggestion is that you go and do some research on what pyramid schemes are, and you're going to find the following. The legislation that regulates network marketing in South Africa is the Consumer Protection Act. Now, the Consumer Protection Act 68 of 2008 is very clear about what constitutes illegal network marketing companies. Now, I've got obviously this document here, and I'm going to run through this and give you a legal opinion application of why Mirror Trading International is not a pyramid scheme and why it is 100% legit and legal. So obviously, you need to realize that Mirror Trading International is registered in South Africa because the core business and operations take place here in South Africa. Yes, we've got members all across the world, but remember, the business operations happens in South Africa. That's why we comply with South African regulations. So just to let everybody know. So You have to know that network marketing, as per South African legislation, is not illegal, guys. It is not a dirty little secret that you have to keep, and you don't have to feel unconfident or worried when you are recruiting people into a legitimate organization. You are helping them, you're aiding them, you're giving them an opportunity, and at the same time creating a second income for yourself. There is nothing to be apologetic about. So multi-level marketing, according to this document, is a strategy that some direct sales company utilize to encourage existing distributors of the company or members who are authorized to sell their product or service to recruit new members to increase sales or further sales of the product. Okay, so this is fine. I'm not obviously going to read through the whole thing, otherwise we're literally going to be here forever. MLM is a marketing campaign that promotes the sale of a legitimate product or a service. The Consumer Protection Act is the appropriate piece of legislation which will regulate this structure. If the financial scheme does not fall within the ambit of the MLM campaign and has the hallmarks of an investment scheme, it must comply with the pertinent legislation as of the Collective Investment Schemes Control Act 45 of 2002. So, if your company does not have a service attached to it or a product attached to it, then you've got a problem. If it's investment in fiat, in other words, investment in cash, in rand, in dollar, in the yen, in euro, or the pound, then you are regulated by the Collective Investment Scheme Control Act 45 of 2002. So this to me was very interesting because a lot of people seem to think that MTI is an investment company. It actually provides a service to you where trades get done on your behalf. Okay, so you are not doing the trading. MTI is not doing the trading. They are only providing you the service and the access to trade with Bitcoin as a base currency. So let's quickly deal with this FSB registration. The FSB, by its own regulations, deal with fiat currency. And our government here in South Africa doesn't recognize Bitcoin as legal tender. So they don't see it as money. It's an asset, so to speak. Even when you pay tax, you don't pay income tax, you pay capital gains tax. So it's almost the same as property, right? So the FSB is not a regulating body for any Bitcoin companies, guys. That's why MTI does not need to be registered with the FSB, because firstly, we're not giving financial advice, and secondly, our base currency is Bitcoin, and they don't recognize that as a currency. They recognize it as an asset. So I quickly wanted to, I'm not going to go through all of this, but the definitions is what got me really excited. So Section 43 of the Consumer Protection Act goes on further to discuss schemes which have the nature of being network marketing companies, but they might actually only be the following. Number one is multiplication schemes, pyramid schemes, and chain letter schemes. Now, these three schemes are illegal, and the Act then goes out to really set out what these schemes look like. And when you read them, it's actually very interesting, okay? So when you look at the first one, let me just double check that, which is the multiplication scheme. In terms of Section 43(3) of the Consumer Protection Act, a multiplication scheme exists when a person offers or promises a guaranteed investor or participation amount of return, effective annual interest rate as calculated in the prescribed manner that is at least 20% above the repo rate. Okay? So a lot of people would say that this is where MTI falls into the category, right? Is that we're a, what do they call it, a multiplication scheme. Okay, so I want to make this very clear. MTI does not offer, guarantee, or promise a guaranteed result in the future. So it's very important that everybody remembers that. Yes, we've had excellent trading results. Yes, we've made an average of 0.5% a day in the last year of trading that we've actively been trading. But that does not mean the company guarantees or promises that in the future. On all our marketing material and every single one of our members in the back office system, it is very clearly stated that trading results vary. We could very possibly have a negative trading day in the future. So for us, it's all about managing risk, being conservative, but also being consistent. So the deciding factor one has to consider in determining the existence of a multiplication scheme is the promise or guarantee made to the consumer, investor, or participant for an interest rate higher than 20%. Okay, so again, Mirror Trading International does not do that, so we are not a multiplication scheme. Let's look at pyramid schemes. This seems to be the one that everybody is always asking about. So in terms of Section 43(4), a pyramid scheme is an arrangement or an agreement or a practice of a scheme if it has the following characteristics. Participants in the scheme receive compensation derived primarily from respective recruitment of other persons as participants. Okay? This is important. A pyramid scheme at the heart of it is an organization that derives their income from recruiting. If you have to recruit to earn, you have a problem. If recruiting stops and your company dies, you have a problem. If one person's money is used to pay the next person, you have a problem. MTI does not have a problem. Every single cent that gets made or generated in MTI is through profit, generated in trade, not through recruiting. So when you join with MTI, you are taking your Bitcoin, you're putting it into your trading account, the company trades on your behalf, and at the end of the day, you get a portion of the profit that is derived with that capital that you had invested in terms of your Bitcoin, okay? So you are not being used to pay someone else. You can withdraw your capital at any moment. There are no fees, no limitations. When you join MTI, there's also no administration fee, no joining fee, no subscriptions. This is important to remember. Lots of people throw this pyramid scheme word around like it's going out of fashion, but in actual fact, they don't know what a pyramid scheme is. A pyramid scheme is where you are recruiting to keep the company alive. If 0 new members join MTI, we will still be making money because we are trading every single day. You get a full transaction statement every day of what gets done on your account, a transaction ID, a timestamp. You can go and double check every single trade that was done on your account. MTI is quite clearly not a pyramid scheme. Now, the last one is what they call a let me just not lose this page. A chain letter scheme. Section 43.5, a chain letter scheme is an arrangement, agreement, practice, or scheme if it has the following characteristics. It has various levels of participation. So as you sign up, you're buying different packages, okay? Existing participants canvass and recruit new participants. So again, the focus is recruiting. And it has, upon joining, you've got to pay a certain consideration which is distributed to one or more of the previously existing participants. So a lot of these companies that you have a look at, companies, I'll use that word very loosely, is I would put in 1,000 Rand and then the person that referred me gets 500 and the person that referred them got 200. And these are sort of like crowdfunding, stokvel type of businesses. Guys, that is not even near to what MTI is. We don't fall into this ambit at all. In fact, not even close. But it's important to know what you're getting yourself into. Because if you are going to be joining anything that looks like a chain letter scheme, a pyramid scheme, or a multiplication scheme, then you're going to have an issue. MTI quite clearly, as we read through the regulations set out in the Consumer Protection Act, does not fall into the definition of a multiplication scheme, a pyramid scheme, or a chain letter scheme. And I think it's important for people to know that. So this was very exciting for me because I was learning quite a bit, not just about the Consumer Protection Act, but also about how legit MTI really is and how far they've gone to crossing their T's and dotting their I's. They've done an exceptional job of being very clear about what the regulations are and showing a massive intention to comply with South African legislation, giving us a phenomenal, very clever company that is creating a secondary income for lots of people, not just here in South Africa, but all across the world. So I quickly wanted to recap that. The legislation that governs network marketing in South Africa, okay, and we are the only country in Africa that has any regulations with MLM, guys. So I think that's very cool. It just speaks to also about how progressive our legal system in South Africa really is. That act is called the Consumer Protection Act. You can go and read up about it. Section 4 deals with what a pyramid scheme, multiplication scheme, or a chain letter scheme is. And you will see very, very clearly that Mirror Trading International does not fall into the ambit of any one of those. We are not a pyramid scheme because we generate our profit from trade. We are not a multiplication scheme because we don't guarantee any future returns. And we are not a chain letter scheme because we don't have any different levels of participation. Every member is exactly the same. And yes, we love the company. We love what it's doing all across the world. And for me, it's not just about Mirror Trading International. It's about other legitimate network marketing companies that are going through the same thing. People selling Herbalife. Herbalife is a legitimate company within the ambit of the Consumer Protection Act, guys. They sell a product. They've got a product that has value. They don't make income claims and they don't have recruiting tiers where people above you are earning just based on recruiting, guys. So that's very important. There's lots of companies like that. Amway, Avon, lots of them that are doing Manatech. These are all legitimate network marketing companies. The only difference, I think, and this is where I might be a bit biased, okay, is that Mirror Trading International is far less work. You know, a lot of these network marketing companies that have been around, they are fantastic, and we look to them as the companies that set the tone, that really introduced MLM into South Africa and Africa in general, right? But Mirror Trading International is different. There's a new market emerging, a market with cryptocurrency. Systems are changing, becoming easier. And I honestly have an opinion that MTI has got the cleverest business model. It is unbelievable how they've put this together. The money is generated from within. New membership is not necessary for the growth of the company. Does it help with increasing the capital pool so we make more money collectively? Absolutely. Yes, it does. But it's not necessary for the company's existence. And obviously the referral program is completely optional. You earn your trades every day anyway without any requirement or any cost. So I hope that this puts this whole pyramid scheme nonsense to bed. I wanted to share with you guys this legal opinion that I'd received. And don't take my word for it, guys. Do research on the Consumer Protection Act. Go and read up about your business. Learn about what's legal. Learn about what's not. Go and read up about Bitcoin. Go and read about Bitcoin tax law in South Africa. You would be surprised at how solid and legit the Mirror Trading International opportunity really is. So I hope that you guys got some value from this video. Send it on to all of your friends that are telling you you're part of a pyramid scheme, because it's simply not true. Have an awesome day.
Well, when obviously more and more questions were starting to be asked by people, the FSCA, the financial sector regulator, you know, and other agencies, MTI had to defend itself. And as in the previously said, the typical answer was, you know what, we are so successful, we are shaking the traditional financial institutions in their foundations. We're going to make them fall, and the only way they can stop us is by using every possible legal means, agency and body to attack us and destroy us. They're not just attacking MTI, ladies and gentlemen, they're attacking us, the members. They don't want you to be rich. They don't want you to benefit from the success that MTI have brought to the common man in the street. So have a look at this video, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy.
Hi guys, I just quickly wanted to send you a voice note. My apologies, I am driving at the moment. I just got off the phone with our attorneys who immediately phoned the FSCA lead investigator, Gerard van Deventer, and it was confirmed that a formal case has not been opened up against MTI and that the police are not investigating MTI yet. That investigation will only start upon the completion of the FSCA's investigation into MTI, which they haven't done, and that will only be in January. So that press release, to put it bluntly, is not true. It's not factual. And we will put out a counter statement within the next couple of hours, which you will have access to. And we also have been contacted by 1 or 2 reporting houses, which we will respond to accordingly as well, with the help from our attorneys. So these are just really dirty tactics. And again, I apologize, because if ever we didn't need this, it was now. But we did expect it. So we will deal with it, and I will keep you all updated. Guys, the official response, and you can quote our attorneys on this, is that a case has not been opened. That is a blatant lie. I am working on the response on the actual press release from MTI with our legal department and with Ulrich Roux & Associates, and I will do a live video as well, because I will not stand for the FSCA blatantly standing up like that and lying to people to purposefully create panic, distrust, and sow discord in our business. Like, I'm not going to stand by and watch that happen. And I'm hoping that all of you guys are on board as well. I think the time of playing nice and just keeping quiet while they just play such dirty tactics is over. This is not right. We will stand up and we will say that this is not true. A case has not been opened, and they are blatantly lying to the public in order to create more challenges for MTI. That is their intention, because there's nothing else that they can do. Guys, what I also find it very interesting to note is that Ryk van Niekerk was happy to have MTI on an interview with Gerard van Deventer, but as soon as that interview didn't go the way he had planned for it to go, they've never asked us for comment again. Very interesting, because if MTI had been given the opportunity to respond, that obviously won't make the FSCA's attempt to discredit us and sow discord and panic amongst our members. It would have negated that attempt that they're making. So they're working with publications and not giving MTI a chance to respond, because the last time they did give us a chance to respond, it didn't work out so good for them. So now they're just shutting us out and running an autocratic dictatorship in the media, and the intention is to create panic. That's what they're bargaining on.
This voice note was done by Sherry Marks, that was directing and dealing with communication between MTI and its members. Clearly, she claims that the FCA did not open a case, which was a lie. It was in fact opened by the FSCA. But once again, this was a tactic to try and deflect and keep the members calm, which was becoming more and more restless because of what was happening. So the question is then, was this an illegal investment scheme? So let's look at some of the characteristics of these illegal investment schemes. Typically, they offer abnormally high, fast investment returns, guaranteed or over-rely on consistent returns. They have consistent high performances, have a very vague business model, not registered with the necessary financial sector regulators. They consistently need more investors to keep it alive. They subtly kept pressure on people to keep the money in the MTI or to reinvest their money. So how did they facilitate this phenomenal growth? Firstly, we said that the communication to market was very professionally done. You've seen 3 videos and you can then make your own conclusion. 2, we had COVID-19 and people were looking for passive incomes. 3, they had consistent high returns and paid out. Who doesn't want to be associated with credible people and people with good reputations? If they find this to be legitimate, then I want to be part of that, ladies and gentlemen. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the last ingredient was obviously the software bot that they were using, and that were outperforming the market consistently. Now, according to Chainalysis, algorithmic trading platforms promising unrealistic high returns are nearly always a scam. Let me emphasize that again. Algorithmic trading platforms promising unrealistic high returns are always nearly a scam. Bottom line, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Do your due diligence. Members simply chose to believe MTI and not heed the warnings concerning that. Now, we spoke earlier about the back office. It was called My MTI Club. It was a members database, ladies and gentlemen, where people could register their accounts. It would have a name and an email. Office we referred to earlier, it was a members database, and all the members had to do was register on it. You needed a name and an email address. There was not know your client or a FICA process in place. You could use any name and any email address. It showed your account, which was expressed in Bitcoin, and on a daily basis it would get updated to show your portion of the profits, the binary portions, and any other bonuses. What was reflected on those statements was what was told to the members and not actual performance, ladies and gentlemen. So if we look at the members of MTI, ladies and gentlemen, who were they? There were people that invested the minimum amount, the $100 equivalent of Bitcoin, and there were some members that invested as much as 2,000 Bitcoin. Their members came from all walks of life. from the people next to you in church, housewife, miners, professional persons such as doctors and attorneys, even members of SAPS, and we found a bank risk officer also being an investor. Funds converted to be invested in MTI came from pensions, retirement money, life savings, income generated through the sale of properties and loans. Slightly more than 60% of the members indicated their country of residence to be of South Africa. Of some concern that we noted was that some of the members in MTI were actually investment brokers and even short-term insurance brokers. Now you could share our concern, ladies and gentlemen. These are people that give people investment advice. The question is, did they promote MTI? Very interesting question. Some of these members appear to be investing on behalf of multiple other persons, which should also be of concern. So the question is, who gave them that advice? What were their risk appetite? Now, investment brokers should not be investing client funds in Bitcoin schemes, which purports to generate returns on investment. Because Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, is classified as a very high risk asset. Let me emphasize that. Very, very high risk investment. Once again, investment by association. If a well-known person or a credible person invests in MTI, then it must be safe. And therefore, we believe that this was one of the things that encouraged people to invest in MTI. And also the last point, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of groupthink. If everybody says and believes this is a good investment opportunity, then it must. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is incredibly dangerous. Here is a funny little clip on groupthink and investors blaming each other after the crash of MTI. Enjoy.
Why did you even rope me into this? Because he roped me into this. Well, him over there, he roped me into this. Well, he roped me into this. Well, what about me? He roped me into this. Well, that one over there roped me into this. Well, he roped me into this.
Ladies and gentlemen, what loopholes was exploited by MTI? Firstly, there was no formal know your client or FICA process in place. So therefore, you could be anybody and any identity on the system. People were encouraged to obviously do multi-level marketing. They were encouraged by the binary structure bonuses that was paid out. So the more people you could bring in underneath you, the more lucrative that would become. Remember, up to 20% of the daily trade, that's now the profit in inverted commas, was allocated to with people with structures beneath them, as well as there were referral bonuses. So if you take multiple accounts investing in on behalf of others, it is clear that there couldn't have been 260,000 members in MTI as was claimed in November 2020. But still a significant amount of people that was involved. On the screen, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see the top structure, and you'll see in red and blue where there's multiple people with multiples underneath them, but it gives you an idea, and this is typically, ladies and gentlemen, a pyramid structure. Now, we spoke a lot about MTI, its creation, its marketing, the people that invested in MTI. So now we talk about the investigation part, following the Bitcoin. So we have a situation where a member of MTI had to open a wallet, buy at least $100 worth of Bitcoin, and then that Bitcoin was transferred to a wallet of MTI. So you have a situation of many wallets consolidating to a single wallet, that was split out again when there were payments made. Now you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, the sheer volume of transactions, the sheer volume of wallets that are involved. and in its most basic form, to do a flow of funds is quite a gigantic exercise. Use blockchain transaction ledger that allows us for the tracking of Bitcoins as it flows from wallet to wallet. There's no single piece of software out there, ladies and gentlemen, that is specifically designed to do such a massive flow of funds between wallets. Remember also, ladies and gentlemen, that wallets don't have full information. The name or an email address or a number in there could be randomly generated. So therefore you do not know the real identity of that wallet. Building the identities of these wallets will include looking at various open source information, but also sometimes digging into the dark web to get information. Blockchain analyst firm Chainalysis named Mirror Trading International the biggest crypto scam of 2020. And surely, ladies and gentlemen, this won't be the last crypto scam. The numbers about cryptocurrency scams, ladies and gentlemen, varies greatly, but as much as 400,000 crypto scams was identified in the last few years, which is a scary number. Trading and investing in cryptocurrencies need to be therefore regulated to limit scam activity. And there's a drive by various agencies like the Minister of Finance, South African Revenue Services, Reserve Bank, FSCA, both nationally and internationally, to move cryptocurrencies into a regulated space. Through regulation globally, perpetrating the next NTI will become a lot more difficult. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you found some useful information in the presentation. We hope that once the NTI, both on the civil and criminal investigations and processes have been concluded, that we can share a bit more information. I want to thank my team that was part of the investigation at FSCA and the FSCA team for the help and support, and hope that we can make the public more aware and educate them on what the opportunities but also the risks are. I wish to thank ACFE Central Region for the opportunity to have presented this, and I wish our members everything of the best and stay safe during this pandemic. Keep up the good fight. Thank you and goodbye.